All right, we're going to get the program on the road in 3, 2, 1. What up, folks? Once again, it is indeed your boy Tim, the handsome liberal, getting my devices up to par. Going to be asking the questions simply because of how the current news environment has went over the span of easily a few months, if not more. You see, the live stream has that name or the actual question in the title itself, and that is Russia our friend? Do you view the former Soviet Union, the leader of the former Soviet Union, the nation of Russia, do you view them as a friend of the United States? Perhaps you may view them as an enemy. Nevertheless, we're asking that question because there's a lot of folks in this country that continue to have a favorable mindset to Russia. Why are we discussing Russia when we mentioned this country only a few days ago? Well, turns out an American with dual citizenship, a 33-year-old woman, her name is a bit difficult to announce, so I won't try to butcher it, but she's 33. She's from Los Angeles. She was in Russia visiting her 90-year-old parents. She was arrested, facing years in prison. You know why? She donated $51 to a Ukrainian charity. As we're all aware, Russia and the Ukraine are currently at war. So the Russians essentially are accusing her of treason, supporting the enemy, aiding and abetting the enemy. $51 to a Ukrainian charity. That would almost be like donating money to the Red Cross, and a enemy of the United States views that as, some type of major crime. Now, she's facing years in prison. How does this coincide with westernized view of democracy? I'm asking this because we've had a lot of folks on the right that suggest that the United States needs to get out of Russia's business and that they're only simply protecting their country. Is this the type of activity that Westerners, claiming to be the moral compass of the universe, do we support this? Or is there nothing to see here? So we're going to be asking that simple question today. Is Russia our friend? And how do you feel about some folks in this country that do appear to be pro-Russian? Obviously, Tucker Carlson is going to be at the top of the list. Simple question, simple program. Program is always MAGA friendly, always will be. MAGA are the preferred guests. Nevertheless, liberals are welcome as well. Tap the screen. Understand we don't block, ban, or censor anyone. The program has always been ran from a position of zero censorship. Whether you agree with the host or not, nobody gives a damn. Whether you agree with what you're seeing in the comments or not, nobody gives a damn. You're allowed to speak freely without any concern of being interfered, blocked, banned, or censored, because that's how the program is ran. Looking in the comments, I feel like Russia is the new America due to how two-tiered we are as a country. When has America not been two-tiered? America has always treated certain people one way, others a different way. We've always been a class system, caste system. The wealthy been treated different than the poor. Natives have been treated different than immigrants. This country has always done that. Obviously, racial lines, black versus white, gender lines, women versus men. The country has always been two-tiered. Why is that so unique or different now? Looking in the comments, Russia is definitely not our friend, says Uncle L. Then why are there so many Americans in this country that come across as pro-Russian? Looking in the comments, Russia is our geopolitical enemy, says William. Always been. Once they shifted from prototype democracy to totalitarianism after Yazin, I just lost the comment. But he's saying that Russia's always been our enemy. After Yeltsin's death, Boris Yeltsin's death, I knew they wanted their old Soviet old Soviet and Russian imperial territories. Now, many folks on the right that do not necessarily despise Russia would suggest that the Soviet Union is outdated and Vladimir Putin is not trying to reestablish the Soviet Union. However, a lot of the Eastern European nations would disagree with that. Looking in the comments real quick, those right wingers were crazy last night. Lou hates you. Real quick, that's in reference to another live I was on. Yeah, Lou was an interesting character. Not necessarily a fan of yours truly, but he's welcome on the program all the time. I understand if you have dislike for the host, as long as you're willing to have a civilized conversation, I'm not going to block or ban anyone. That is a solemn promise I've made from day one. You don't have to agree with a damn thing I say. I'm going to always defend your free speech because that is the type of program I run. I have guests on all the time that tear my ass to pieces. And the final sentence of every conversation, you're always welcome back. I appreciate dissenting opinion. After all, I don't know every damn thing, and neither do you. It's not my show. It's not your show. It's our show. That's how we run it here. Go into the box. Appreciate you folks that are tapping the screen. Thank you. You're not black if you don't vote for Biden, says David. He certainly said that. Mr. B Dubs. Good afternoon, Mr. B Dubs. Welcome to the program. If the box will let you in, JFC Russia isn't our friend. Mr. B Dubs, good afternoon.
Oh, good afternoon. Good afternoon. I've tried to get into this live so many times, so I appreciate it. I think I might have been one of the first to request, so thanks for letting me on. The reason I jumped on was that a couple comments ago. I ended up watching that live last night for a while. Man, listen, they're not here to defend themselves, but kudos to you because your temperament is just so laid back and chill. And you know they're crazy, man. It was crazy. And then they kicked that guy off. I know this is not what we're talking about, but they kicked that one guy off real quick, and they're like, "Oh, he was being so disrespectful. He was being so disrespectful." And all I was thinking is, have you guys not listened to yourselves?
Yeah. Well, you know, but see, I have to live by example. I understand, and that's why I often have the MAGA hat up on every conversation or every program, because I want to let folks know that even if we have a difference of opinion, you will always be respected here. I could not run a program like we do here without leading by example. I understand with liberal in my name, when I go to MAGA environments, I'm going to get slammed. I'm prepared to handle that. I'm going to get disrespected. That often happens. It certainly happened last night. But I can't come back like that if I'm not capable of leading by example. So I'm very patient. I'm not confrontational. I believe in sticking to the actual issues. We can name call if that makes you comfortable. I don't need to do that to stick to the issues. And last night was a perfect example. I'm glad you tuned in.
Yeah, it was entertaining, I guess, to say the least. But yeah, no, man, it was good. It was good. So the topic, is Russia our friend? That's what you're asking?
Yeah. And unfortunately, B-Dubs, your signal was kind of bad. I'll give you a second, but you're going in and out. We're asking, is Russia our friend? How do you see Russia as an ally of the United States?
No, absolutely not.
So,
and I hope you can hear me. I hope it's a little bit better, but
I can hear you.
Yeah, they're not our allies. They're not our allies. They're not our friends. I do not think they are our biggest threat. I think Syria, I think China are probably bigger threats to us than Iran. Those I think are bigger threats, especially China, than Russia. But they are definitely not our friends.
Why would you? Why would you put Syria? Now, Syria, the only reason that Syria continues to exist Ahmadinejad well, not he's from Iran, but the only reason that Syria continues to exist is because they're getting Russian assistance. Very similar to the Ukraine with Russia. The Russians are in Syria, making them stronger. You put Syria as a bigger enemy to America than Russia.
Well, I think just as far as like state-run, sponsorship of terrorism.
Okay.
I think, death to America. I don't think Russia, when you hear, and not to say, Middle Eastern or what, but when you hear countries saying death to America, I don't hear that a lot. And I don't speak Russian either,
Okay.
So I don't know what death to America sounds like in Russian, but, and maybe as a proxy of Russia, maybe I didn't know that, right? So you're teaching me something. That's a possibility that they're a bigger threat than even that I am aware of, because I didn't know that, right? So
Russia has a naval base, and they actually have troops on the ground in Syria. That's why when Trump bombed them in 2017, he sent over 60 Tomahawks and 59 of them hit their target. He actually gave a warning to Syria ahead of time. Now, the United States doesn't normally warn you ahead of time when they're about to bomb you, but the Russians were there. So to prevent from having a major conflict escalate out of control, we actually told Syria ahead of time that we were about to bomb them. That happened early in Trump's administration.
And I'm not a huge, I voted for Trump. If he's on the ballot, I'll vote for him again. And I think that's just a testament to his foreign policy. You got to blow up the infrastructure and the stuff that they're using, but at the same time, let's do it in a way that's not going to cause a larger conflict than what needs to be, right? That, to me, that kind of, sounds like a smart idea.
So do you see Trump? You mentioned that Russia's not a friend of the United States. Do you think Trump has the same mindset that Russia is actually our enemy?
I think Trump has, I don't know if anybody can speak to Trump's mindset, but I would like to think that it's one of those, keep your friends close, keep your enemies closer, so to speak. I do think that he understands that they could be dangerous. And I think with that, you have to show a little bit of respect, just to make sure that things are somewhat peaceful. But
yeah, B-Dubs, unfortunately, I was trying to hear the rest of your opinion, but B-Dubs, you're always welcome back. Unfortunately, your signal got to be bad enough that I had to drop you from the program, but understand you're always welcome back. No hard feelings. Good conversation. I had a couple other questions I wanted to ask you. Certainly we can talk in the future, but your signal went down. Looking in the comments, Leo says Trump knows nothing about geopolitics on YouTube. I gotta assume Trump knows a lot about Russia. He had business deals in the country. I don't know if I would suggest that a man with his own jet doesn't know about geopolitics, but I get your statement there, Leo, on YouTube. Respect, he went to his knees to Putin. Wow. You see Trump is getting on his knees to Putin? That's pretty strong. Do any of you actually know what's going on, says Alicia. Feel free to elaborate on your comment. Perhaps you can educate the crowd. Yours truly indeed. I don't know it all. I appreciate for folks who know more. Let me know what you're thinking. If your point is there, I'll absolutely concede it. Going back to the box, I appreciate you folks that are tapping the screen. Almost 700 of you in here. If you will, get the likes up to 20,000. Let your thumbs not be lazy. You understand that it helps out the algorithm. Brings in more MAGA. That's generally what the FYP is about. So it brings in more MAGA, helps out the program. Going back to the box, J.K. Tyree. Thank you. Appreciate that. Whoever just sent that, I didn't get a chance to see who that was, but thank you. I believe that was Tammy. Thank you. JK, good afternoon.
Hey, how's it going, brother?
Good to have you on. Is Russia our friend, or you see him more as a foe?
I don't really see him as a foe. They're not our best friend, but I didn't have any argument with I know he went over to North Korea, and I know he went to Russia, and everyone's like, oh, he's Putin's puppet. He's Putin. Man, that dude has done business all around the world. He knows how some people think. And what's wrong with, talking to somebody? All that we have is a bunch of politicians, saying, oh, we're going to, cut off, we're going to put sanctions on you. We're going to do this. You need to come out of power. When you hear politicians saying that's just not what. And, he would rather make friends than enemies. And like the last guy said, man, keep your friends close and your enemies closer.
Yeah.
That's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah. Now, what's interesting, you say Trump would rather make friends than enemies. Why not reach out to the Democratic Party? Wouldn't it be more valuable to make friends in your own country?
It would, but the way politics are right now, I wouldn't say I've literally been bullied in my life. I know how bullying is, but TikTok would call it bullying. I mean, for the past 3 days, immediately people are like, you're wrong. Your opinion's just wrong. I mean, when you tell somebody that they're wrong right off the rip, there is no conversation to be had.
Well, let me elaborate. For instance, bird brain. Do you think when he's calling Nikki Haley bird, do you see that as an effort to make friends?
I just think that everyone's like, oh, he's a politician now. He served 4 years. That still does not make you a politician. He's a New Yorker, and that's what he does. Man,
yeah, but
stupid.
I
wish he would shut up.
Yeah, I don't totally disagree with that, but the man is a well-established business guy, so he's no idiot. He's made a fortune in his life. Why will it not sink in that the name calling and the insults is not working for him? Let's be clear. Whether you think he deserved what happened to him in court or he got completely railroaded, a hell of a lot of it has to do with his antics. Why won't that sink in that you can't go to court and call the judge all kinds of insults and talk about his family and his clerk? Why isn't he getting that?
That just totally blows my mind. I have no idea what to even, think about that.
Yeah. But when it comes to Vladimir Putin, he seems to be far friendlier. I don't get what's so different about a judge or a Nikki Haley or Ron DeSantis. Why are those the folks that you are targeting? But then when you go to Russia, who has several generations of adversarial contact with America, he's friendly with them. I'm trying to figure that out.
Man, I want you to tell me somebody that can figure it out.
Well, we're voting for it. I get your point, but that is what we vote for. We're voting for someone that, in your opinion, because we can't figure him out, he's totally unpredictable. Whereas he is adversarial to people who it would be definitely beneficial to be.
If anybody insults him, that's just his go-to automatically right back at him. Not being politically correct about it. He just.
Yeah, but Putin has made all sorts of insults about the United States, but he's friendly with him.
Well, I don't know. I guess would you be friendly with the guy that had nukes?
Well,
too friendly. You know what I mean. That was a joke, actually.
I mean, the guy is threatening to put nukes in space. Is this the guy you want to be friends with?
Not really, no.
Yeah. So now we got 33-year-old, and I'm going to try not to butcher this, Ksenia Carolina. She's 33. She's from Los Angeles. Went to Russia to visit her 90-year-old mother. While in the U.S., she donated $51 to a Ukrainian charity. They have arrested her, charging her with a crime comparable to treason. She was in Russia, and she's facing years in prison. She's an American citizen. Do you think that the United States should do anything about it? Do you think Biden and Trump should speak out about it?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Hashtag communism sucks, man.
I'm with you on that. But that's what I'm saying when I ask, are they a friend or are they an enemy? I mean, you got Tucker Carlson going over there having what looked like a friendly chat between chums.
Well, I mean, yeah, it was a friendly chat, but I mean, I'll give it to him. I mean, he actually asked him. He was like, what caused the war? What were you thinking?" And then you had to hear Putin give the history of, the wins that they made in the past. He didn't say anything about them ever getting beat or anything, but you had to hear.
But see, this is what I'm talking about making friends. If they would sit down with the likes of the women's movement, the LGBT community, Black Lives Matter, and be willing to work with them like they're working with Putin, we might get a hell of a lot of harmony in this country. If Tucker Carlson was willing to sit down with some of the groups I just mentioned, like he was flying all the way to Russia to sit down with Tucker Carlson, or sit down with Vladimir Putin, can you imagine a harmony we could get in this country?
Well, think about it like this. If you were a reporter and you were going into the belly of the beast,
okay,
wouldn't you kind of be nice? You wouldn't want to insult somebody that can just have you arrested for no reason.
Why would you go to have an interview with a country that is so dangerous, as you stated, I can get arrested for no reason? Why would you even be over there?
Cojones, I don't know.
I mean, at the end of the day, do you believe Vladimir Putin when he's having an interview and he's saying that my country is fine, we're not trying to hurt anybody, and we don't persecute our citizens? Do you actually believe that? Do you?
The Russian version of the CIA. If his lips are moving, he's lying.
Right. So why is it that so many folks on the right seem to be favorable to him?
I'm not favorable at all to him.
But you do get my point, that many folks on the right are very favorable to Vladimir Putin.
I do not support that at all.
Okay.
When anybody's on the right and they're like, they say, I'm like, dude, communism still sucks, man. I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Even though we had the leader of Ukraine come over here and yell at us about global warming and
well,
stuff.
Let me present. I'll give you a comment before I move it on. I do want to give you this comment off of YouTube in reference to our conversation and get your take on it. William says so many right wingers are into Russia because they hate this administration and anything that the institution of the U.S. does under a liberal government, plus disinformation campaigns and psyop spying. Do you think that folks are supporting or at least leaning favorably towards Russia simply out of dislike for the Biden administration?
I wouldn't. I've never heard anything like that from any very right hand, but I don't talk to a lot of people. I don't do a lot of things. I don't have any friends actually, and TikTok's my only thing, and I haven't really heard that specifically, but I don't care. I'm not a Biden fan at all. I'm not a Trump fan at all. I mean, but it's like picking from your favorite Menendez brother at the end of the day.
Well said, the lesser of two evils. I get it.
But I had a question for you, man.
Sure.
I watch a lot of YouTube. I don't watch the news at all. I haven't watched news in probably maybe 5 years, man. It's been a long time. And I saw a commercial that a woman, I don't know if she was hypothetically saying that she was going to be Trump's vice president. I can't remember her name, but she had a commercial on YouTube saying she was, going to be Donald Trump's running mate. She had blonde hair, and I missed her name totally.
That could be anybody.
I was like, wait a minute.
I mean,
I haven't heard anything like that. But,
yeah.
I'm willing to hear anybody's take.
Yeah, let me just say this. If somebody is going to be Trump's running mate, first of all, you're going to hear from Trump first, and it's likely to be on the major networks, not necessarily just on YouTube. So that could literally be anybody. See, some folks say Marjorie Taylor Greene because she's blonde, but it's going to come out of Trump's mouth.
Marjorie Taylor Greene, I know what she looks like. It was some random woman. She said she was in the military for 22 years. Come out highly ranked. I don't remember what she was. I know that you're honest and you answer me, but it was just probably one of those things that she was probably making a commercial.
Yeah, let me make, before I move it on, let me just say this. Trump is a media hawk. He is an expert at utilizing the media. When it comes to who his running mate's going to be, that's going to come from him. He's not going to let somebody else steal his shine and announce that first. If whoever his running mate is announces it to the public before he does, they just lost the job. I got to move it on though, JK. Appreciate you coming
Hey,
through.
thanks for letting me up, buddy. You have a great day.
Absolute. Appreciate it. Looking in the comments, Trump is a fucking expert at nothing. That's not true. Don, when it comes to the media, before Trump ran for president, he was, I mean, obviously he had The Apprentice. He had one of the highest, in terms of ratings, one of the highest shows out there. Trump is a media darling, for lack of a better term. Remember, folks are suggesting Trump derangement syndrome and all of that. Fact is, a lot of folks are talking about Trump, left, right, and center. Now, Trump derangement syndrome is what folks who favor Trump has named folks that do not favor Trump. So if you refer to as having Trump derangement syndrome, you're not pro-Trump. I've said it before. You can put Trump's tattoo on in your middle of your forehead, put his face on the front hood of your car, and nobody will tell you got Trump derangement syndrome. It's only when you don't like him. But yeah, Trump likes to be discussed, does a good job at it. In my opinion, that's an area in terms of media draw. He's an expert. In my opinion, he's an expert at that. Looking in the comments, a vote for Republican is a vote for Putin. Damn, Stan Hartman on YouTube. By the way, for my YouTube vote, my YouTube viewers, understand the program runs uncensored. For any of you folks wondering, the program originates from TikTok, but I appreciate you folks tuning in as well. If you do enjoy civilized dialogue from both sides of the aisle, without any issue of the host trying to block, ban, or censor you, you are in the right place. I'd encourage you to smash that like button. Feel free to drop a subscription. This is how we are ran Monday through Friday at 1 p.m. We're here Central. Looking in the comments, sure, like Whoopi Goldberg throwing Judge Jeanine off The View. She has Trump derangement syndrome. Okay, all right, I get it. Trump derangement syndrome is reserved for people who do not like Trump. If you love Trump and you speak him every single day, you don't have derangement syndrome. It's only when you dislike him. Going back to the box. Great show, brother. Thank you, Leo. Paul Hernandez. Good afternoon. Welcome to the program, Paul Hernandez. If the box comes up with you, the U.S. trades and does business with Russia, but Trump can't. Why you said Trump cannot do business with Russia? Please explain that. Paul Hernandez, good afternoon.
Hey, how you doing?
I'm doing good. We're talking Russia today. Are they an enemy or a friend of the United States?
Well, in my opinion,
That's a long pause,
He's
Paul.
not your buddy.
Paul, that's a long pause. Keep going.
I know it. But he's not our buddy, you know. And anybody who really thinks that he is or has anything in our best interest, well, we got some of that. How do you say beachfront property here in Arizona?
So wait, let me make sure I get clear. You said he's not our enemy or our buddy, so he's in the middle.
Say that again?
Did you say he is not our enemy or our buddy? Did I hear that correct?
He's not our buddy.
Okay.
He is our enemy.
Oh, he is our enemy. So
Yes, he is.
So why is there so much favorable repertoire coming from the right in regards to Russia and Putin?
I think a lot of that could be geopolitically and historically even, rooted in the love affair that the right has always had with authoritarian power. If you look back to pre-World War II America, the Republican Party had a fascination with fascism. They honestly believed that, Mussolini's Italy would be an ideal model for the United States to even implement. So I think that's enrooted historically in the party. Now, that in itself is cause for alarm.
So you say when you say you see traits of the Republican Party that, you know, has some links and ties to fascism. When folks suggest that Trump is leaning towards or favoring dictators, do you see any validity to that? That Trump, if he is reelected, might start taking on the characteristics of a dictator?
Well, just listen to his words. You know, the old cliche, if it sounds like a duck, it's a duck. Okay? So, once the man says, I want to be dictator for a day, really, in all honesty, a dictator wants to be dictator forever, not a day.
Yeah.
Come on.
So so based on what you're saying, I want to make sure I get clarity from you specifically. Do you see Trump, if reelected, as a threat to democracy in this country?
I think he's a big threat to democracy.
Wow. But we had him for, but Paul, he was president for 4 years and democracy lived on. So if he's brought back in, I mean, what would stop him from just serving 4 years and leaving when this time is up? You think he's going to try to stay forever?
Of course he would.
Wow.
That's his ultimate. This is why he likes Putin a lot. You know, he likes that aura of being basically, you know, he believes in a monarchy. You know, he wants to be God, king, president, all of it. And then he'll just pass it on down to his kids. That's my opinion.
That's frightening.
Trump. I'm not gonna knock him on whatever he did in the past with his financials. You know, he's worked within the tax system. You know, favors those with money. So he's worked it to his behalf, but yet it's all caught up to him.
So then, if I get your take on Trump, I want to ask you about Biden, because this came from YouTube. Trina Pete on YouTube says, to the one speaking, referencing you, says, you're living under the greatest threat to democracy and you're blind to see it. So she's suggesting that it is Biden that is the greatest threat right now. Why do you think some folks have such an opposing view to your own? What do you see Biden as any, you know, threat to democracy right now as we speak?
No, I do not see him as a threat to democracy. If anything, I'm seeing Biden as kind of like wanting to hang on to democracy as we know it. And we're such a divided country. And this is the problem. And the media has played a big role in it. But unfortunately, I think a lot of Americans just refuse to pick up books and read.
Wow. So what about the possibility, one more comment before I move it on. What about the possibility that what Trump is going through is not necessarily him being a bad guy, so to speak, but he's simply trying to better the country by revealing the truth? And I'll tell you why I'm saying that. In the comments on YouTube, Kinsley K says, Trump has literally sacrificed everything in his successful life to reveal the truth. How do you take a statement like that?
My goodness sakes, to reveal the truth?
That's what came in, yeah.
That's comical because he's not a walking pillar of truth. He wouldn't be indicted 90 some times already, you know, so that in itself speaks for it. You know, come on.
All right. I had to run it by you. I saw it in the comments. I thought you'd be the perfect guest to entertain that comment, but I do got to move it on, Paul. I appreciate you coming in. You've been a wonderful guest. Our first time talking.
Hanson. Thank you very much. I listen to you all the time.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Anytime, come on back through. Looking in the comments, and as I said, folks, we get opinions from both sides of the aisle. We go left of Bernie Sanders all the way to I'm having dinner with QAnon. The program is ran in an uncensored format. Have to throw my solicitations up because I certainly like to keep the likes and the subscriptions up. So what do I always say? Feel free to smash that like button for my YouTubers tuning in, and let your thumbs not be lazy on TikTok. Some nearly 900 of you in here on TikTok. certainly get your boy up to around 35,000. You certainly can smash that like button. The sheep is blissfully walking into the slaughterhouse, and the butcher is Biden. You know, I will say this. For the man to be ailing so bad that folks think he'll be dead before he finishes the second term, experiencing advanced dementia, all of a sudden he's a threat to democracy and butchering a bunch of sheep. Is he sane or is he not? I don't get it. The guy with dementia that's about to die all of a sudden is now capable of butchering sheep and ending democracy. Somewhere along the lines, that makes sense to someone, just not currently with me. Going back to the box, appreciate you folks that are tapping the screen. Indicted by dictators that the Democrats are claiming Trump will be. Who is the dictator that has indicted Trump? That's strong language. Cameron Cooper. Good afternoon, Cameron Cooper. Welcome to the program.
Hello.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Talking about Russia, a friend or foe to the United States. What say you, Cameron? You got a lot of noise. Are you there?
Yes.
Okay. Russia, friend or foe? What say you?
USA.
That didn't answer the question. Okay, I don't know what's going on with Cameron, but I do got to move it on. And I see Mr. Life says Cameron sounds like a child. I don't know what was going on, but we get callers like that occasionally. Understand, one of the accolades I'll give my viewers, most of you folks, whether I agree or disagree with you, I do get a lot of folks that are, in my opinion, up on their game politically. I might disagree with you, may disagree with me, but they certainly are aware of what's going on politically. Very few trolls, particularly on TikTok, despite the audience being about 10 times the size of what it is on YouTube. And I appreciate that. But occasionally, we get somebody that may slip through. Somebody said, "Are you sure?" Ziggy or Zippy. I don't know. And capable of stealing an election, indicting Trump and the MAGA. Actually great for a guy with dementia. Kurt D on YouTube says that in regards to stealing the election, if Biden has dementia and he stole an election and Trump is totally sane and within his faculties, why is he having such a difficult time proving it? You can't outdo a guy with dementia in the court of law. Why are you having such a difficult time proving he stole the election? And I'm not talking about proving it to Democrats or liberals that don't like you anyway. Where are the Republicans? Republican senators, Republican congresswomen and men. Where are the Republican governors that agree the election was stolen from Trump? Even his own party don't agree with that. So we can talk about the election being stolen, but when you start asking why your own party don't seem to believe it, the answer kind of comes up short. Going back to the box, nevertheless, I appreciate you folks that are here. Going to Gregory Myers. Good afternoon. Welcome to the program, Greg. Rhino, says David. You think the entire Republican Party is a rhino? And Trump is the only legitimate Republican, but everyone else that's been running as a Republican most of their adult life, they're all rhinos. Makes sense to me. Gregory, good afternoon.
Good afternoon. How you doing?
I'm doing good. We're talking about Russia. Enemy or friend or foe? What say you?
Well, I'm going to tell you it depends on what you're looking at. I find that the Tucker Carlson interview was very interesting. That Putin came out and said twice. There was 2 times that he came and wanted to be part of NATO. That he wanted to work on a missile.
Wait. Wait, hold on. NATO was created because Putin was why would he join NATO? There would be no need for NATO if Russia joined it, but keep going.
You're right. But I mean, here's the thing is he also expressed that he had previously sent in to Washington, the powers that be,
in that interview that he wanted to work on a missile defense system. Now we know he is ahead of us right now on a missile defense system. Russia's ahead of us with their hypersonic missiles that they can certainly intercept ours much faster. I think that with proper diplomacy, I think Russia, the Russian people are just like you and me. They go to work. They want to see their grandkids grow up. They collect a paycheck. They go to grocery stores. He is a more of a tyrant than any of our presidents would be. But then again, let's be honest. How many people does the CIA kill on behalf of Americans?
So this individual, Alexei Navalny, who just was apparently murdered while incarcerated in Russia, that doesn't change our outlook on Russia. We just say, well, the CIA does the same thing too.
Yeah, but look what happened to what's his name? That had the island, Epstein. Look what happened to Epstein, and that was highly suspect. I worked with intelligence for 20-something years of my life in the military, and we're not saints. And I think the first thing you have to accept is, it's like Jesus told us, you point your finger at somebody, 3 are pointing back at you.
So you basically see Russia just another country like the United States. I mean, right now, I started the program off talking about Ksenia Carolina, a 33-year-old American that lived past tense now, lived in Los Angeles. She has dual citizenship. She went to Russia to visit her 90-year-old mom. And because she donated $51, just $51 to a Ukrainian charity, the Russians have now arrested her and charged her with a crime comparable to treason. She's facing years in prison. She's an American. Should we try to help her out?
I don't agree with that. You make a valid point. I don't agree with that. I think that there are a lot more forceful than we are in the United States. Although, let's turn the coin over here and let's look at this. Who has the highest percentage of incarcerated of their populace in the world?
We do, but
the next 30 countries.
Yeah, but that leaves.
Out of all the.
Yeah, I agree with you. America has a huge incarceration problem, but here's what I don't get. When you point out the issues when you point out the issues of how Russia is, your response is to point out issues of your own country and say, well, we do this. Why didn't we do that to Saddam Hussein when we said he was hurting his own people? We could have brought up all the blacks that were enslaved. I mean, if we use that mindset, then nobody on earth is a bad country.
Well, and you know what? You can't use that unilaterally. I'm simply making the point that, he who cast the first stone, right? I'm not pro-Russian. I'm pro-American. I'm a Trump supporter. I believe that he is the best opportunity for us to become a peaceful, prosperous country again. And I think that in part of doing that is that having a better relationship with these, what is the old saying? You keep your friends close and your enemies closer. Yeah. I think that having a stronger relationship with these countries would help us get into a situation where we're not constantly at war with each other.
But that's the question I want to. Here's the question I want to ask you. Why? Okay, let's take Trump for instance, because Trump is the one speaking more favorably of Russia than virtually anybody in the country that's in politics. Why is he friendly to Russia, but critical of NATO, critical of Canada, critical of Mexico? He's more critical of our allies than he is of our enemies. Why is that?
Well, and I think you have to look at this. It's a little bit of an apple and orange comparison. You look at NATO, he's critical of NATO because, quite frankly, we bear the brunt of the financial responsibility for supporting NATO.
Greg,
Other countries that are protected under NATO don't.
But Gregory, you just admitted Russia is killing people. You're complaining about somebody who's not paying.
Absolutely.
So you're criticizing somebody, you're criticizing someone for not keeping up their self-defense budget, but you're speaking favorably of murderers?
No, I'm not. It's not the same thing. Don't mix my words.
I'm talking about
I'm
Trump.
simply saying,
I'm not talking about you, I'm talking about Trump.
Listen, I worked with the CIA and the NSA for 23 years through the DIA, Defense Intelligence Agency, and I can tell you, we've done things that are equally as deplorable as some of the things you're bringing up. We're not saints. You know, we have this attitude as Americans that we are better than anybody else, and in a lot of ways we are. In a lot of ways we are.
But
However,
Greg, hold on. I'm not. Hold on. I just want to interrupt you. Based on what you're saying, and I'll let you continue. But based on what you're saying, we have no right criticizing Germany for the Holocaust because of what the Confederates did to black people. I don't. You're airing our dirty laundry in favor of Russia. That's what's confusing me. But go ahead.
No. I don't mean to sound like that. You know, I think it's a simple paradox, and depending on which dimension you're looking at, you know, what I'm trying to say is that we basically can be fairly certain that we murdered Jeffrey Epstein in prison. He was murdered.
Okay.
You know, it's very likely that happened. You know, and
But what does that got to do with holding Russia? But what does that got to do with holding Russia accountable? If we go with what you're saying,
I think
we could.
they should be held accountable just as surely as we should hold ourselves accountable.
Yeah,
I
but
think the accountability has to be done on a world order basis. That's what the United Nations was set up for. The idea behind trying to put applicable laws uniformly across all the nations.
But Greg, the world has never worked like that. No one would ever be held accountable if the first response is, well, let's see if we've done something similar. We've never operated that way.
No, it hasn't. But there's a possibility. There's always the hope that it could. Okay. You know what? I know this seems unusual, but think about this. How much do we spend on military in the United States? Look at the dollars we spend on military.
Okay.
We have more aircraft carrier fleets than the rest of the whole world put together. Okay? We are a powerful nation. Okay? Russia has a huge military budget too. If we could come together, and I'm not talking about politically, they're going to be communists, we're going to be democracy. But if we could come together in a more orderly world fashion, then the possibility for us to see a greater peace, reduce the cost of having to keep up these huge military.
Well, if you want to, okay, Greg, I do got to move it on, but if you want everybody to come together, then why don't you just allow all of these immigrants to stay? Because at the end of the day, we came here we didn't come here legally either. I do got to move it on, Greg. You got a lot of noise in the background. All right, I'll move it on. Appreciate the call. Greg, you had a phone call. It got to be real noisy, but always welcome back. The guy sounds like an NWO shill, New World Order shill. Who brainwashed him? I don't want to. And that comment came from Colt Boy. Love the name. Wow, the Colt Boy. I don't want to call my guest brainwashed. That's a bit harsh. Everybody don't agree, but I don't want to ever refer to somebody as brainwashed. That guy wants a Trump Putin ticket. By the way, who would be best for my beloved MAGA? Who do you think would be the best running mate for President Trump? Some might say DeSantis, Vivek Ramaswamy. Certainly won't be Nikki Haley, will it? Who do you think would be the best running mate for former President Trump? Ramaswamy says, Gen X. Gen X are on YouTube. Appreciate you over there on YouTube, Gen X. Ukraine is our ally. Get it? Putin wants to take over Ukraine and then Sweden. Sweden too, and then what is next? You guys don't understand how things work. That came from Project on YouTube. Wow. And look, we don't know what Putin's ultimate goals are, but folks in the region, they believe exactly what that viewer just stated. Other NATO countries from Poland, Romania, other than Belarus, who is an ally to Russia, and all of the rest of those surrounding countries do believe that Russia will not stop at the Ukraine. Going back to the box, appreciate you folks that are indeed tapping the screen. Mr. Life Hack, good afternoon. Hack away at the program. Let me know what I'm getting wrong. We're talking about Russia versus China. My last my box doesn't seem to be bringing them up. We'll give it a chance. Derek 31 says MAGA equals Jim Crow. Do you think MAGA would try to reverse the gains of America that far back? Really? MAGA equals Jim Crow. That's strong language. Wow. Going back to the box. Oh, shit, just lost my YouTube side of things. If Joe is respected, will he give Putin Poland next? If Joe is reelected, I don't see President Joe Biden being friendly to Russia at all. The only reason why Ukraine is not receiving an unlimited supply of assistance from the United States is the conservative Congress. So yeah, Putin is going to deal with a battle with Joe Biden for the entire time Joe Biden is president. Which I did a video, and I'll go right back to the box. My last call, it didn't come up, but I'll just say this. Putin reportedly stated he would prefer Biden get reelected than Trump. A lot of folks on the right was like, see, Biden's a weak president. Even Vladimir Putin is admitting he would rather have Biden in office than Trump because Trump's unpredictable. Trump might kick that ass, whatever. Well, look what came out in the news, where the individual suggesting that Biden got paid, kickbacks from Burisma, has been charged by the feds for lying about the information. This was the government informant for the feds working to take down the Biden administration, being utilized by the Republican Party. He has now been caught up with perjury. He was lying to the feds, and he's admitted now the false information he got came directly from Russia. So his job as a government informant was to help the Republicans take down the Biden administration. He's been caught in a lie, charged with it criminally, and he's come out and admitted, I was getting this information from Russia. So think about that. Russia was actively working with a government informant in this country to take down the Biden administration. Think about that the next time you hear Vladimir Putin suggest he would rather have Biden in office than Trump. That proves that is a flat out lie. Vladimir Putin in Russia was actively working, not directly, but by proxy with the Republicans to take Biden down. I mean, that's exactly what's come out. If he's getting the information from Russia and it's not even accurate information, Putin knows that it's coming across. So Putin is giving an informant working on behalf of essentially the Republican Party information to take Biden down, and the information is inaccurate. Take it how you will, but it's pretty clear that Vladimir Putin would rather see Trump and not Biden. Going back to the box, appreciate you folks that are tapping the screen. Nearly 900 of you in here on TikTok. Get your boy up to around 55,000. Tap the screen, certainly on YouTube. It's an uncensored program. If that's what you like, we're not going to censor you, block, or ban your speech. You don't have to agree with the host. Nobody gives a damn. You have a right to speak. If you enjoy that, feel free to smash the like button. A subscription, if you will, would certainly be appreciated. We're here Monday through Friday, 1 p.m. 81 million votes, and nobody admits voting for Grandpa Joe. I don't agree with that. There's a hell of a lot of people that admit voting for Joe Biden. Even some people that don't like Joe Biden admit voting for Joe Biden out of sheer hatred for Trump. So I totally disagree with your comment. But going back to the box, we'll make it happen with E. Smith. Trump 2024 woo, says Seth. We'll see what happens. E. Smith, my box is having a bit of difficulty. E, good afternoon. E. Smith, are you there? Okay, I don't know what's going on, but we'll moving on. KGB tactics at it under Putin. Yeah, but Putin knows that information is being given to a government informant in his country. He knew that, and he knew it was harmful to Biden's second attempt at being president. So Vladimir Putin was actively trying to take Biden out. The idea that he would prefer Biden over Trump, I think that dispels that entirely. BXX Live, good afternoon. Welcome to the program. BXX, are you there?
Hey, what's up, man? I'm here.
Not good. Good to have you here. So we're talking about Russia, friend or foe? What say you?
Come on, man. They definitely a foe. Anybody, any intelligent person would even. I mean, you. Come on, man. You can't even guess on that. And the thing is, and I don't have to bash anybody, but Republican talking points and people who I can't even say Republican. I'm going to say MAGA. MAGA talking points are, oh, keep your friends close, your enemy closer. You can't keep somebody closer who's more intelligent than you. Somebody who's more worldly than you. Someone who has that experience. This guy's former KGB. This is what he does. Trump can't compete with this guy. He had a mutual telecast with the guy and say, well, Putin told me he didn't do it. I don't see why he would lie. Why would he lie? Are you serious? And then you have these people who are former contractors of the military. I was full military. You're a contractor. You're not privy to all of those details and information about what we do and don't do. You do good to get through the door to put up a light bulb, sir. Why do they come with these talking points? But I'll tell you this. Martin Luther King said a long time ago, bro. It really is just this. People are either sincerely ignorant or consciously stupid.
Damn.
Right? Meaning, what it does is it represents honest, good people. They're good people. They just don't understand or are blind to what is truly going on. Therefore, they don't try to correct the injustice that's happening around them. Case in point, Donald Trump comes out with the golden Snickers. He has a lot of merchandise, right? Kudos, it's your business, right? Do that. It's the American way. Here's the problem. Trump is so American, so America first. Ask him where those shoes, hats, and perfume are made.
Well, somebody got me on. It's an interesting point because somebody got me on that. I believe I was talking to one of my liberal viewers, and they were like, "Where was your hat made?" And I didn't know. And I looked in there. There is a made in China tag on that. But
exactly.
But that I didn't. Exactly. But I will say, I purchased one of my hats from the actual Trump's campaign site, and I got another one on Amazon. When I went to the Trump rally, I went in town about 4 or 5 months ago. I don't know if they were selling hats there or not, but I think you can get some made in America hats from. I do believe you can get some.
And let me tell you why. And I don't have a problem with the stuff being made in China. The shoes I like are made in China. Here's the problem. If you're really for America, you know why stuff is made overseas? It's cheaper. If you made Trump shoes in America, you'd have to pay people $30 an hour. Yeah. You can have them made over there and pay people 50 cents.
Yeah, but if you pay people first of all, what Trump is charging for those damn shoes, you can afford to pay people $30 an hour. The reason you make stuff overseas, the reason you make stuff overseas is because you're selling it to Americans for cheap. That doesn't apply in the case of his shoes. So if he made the shoes in America, he could also say I created jobs, which unfortunately he can't now.
Yeah, he could say that. That's if he was truly America first. What he is Trump first. Wow. Period. I don't understand. And I think when you talk to these people, and I'm not going in on people, But honestly, when you talk to, I'm not even going to say Republican supporters. Again, I'm going to say MAGA supporters. Don't they seem to be a little more uneducated, a little more country, like backwoods? Like I don't read the news. I don't look at the news. I get my information from Twitter.
I don't want to listen. You know I don't. Let me. Well, come on now.
I'm not saying talk about people, but it's true.
Well, let me just.
You're only going to come up for air when Marjorie Taylor tells you to. You don't know anything.
Well, are you suggesting when you say uneducated, are you talking about MAGA or are you talking about Republicans?
I'm talking about MAGA.
Oh.
Because be careful. We have 3 parties in the country now. We really do.
Yeah, I agree with that. I do believe we have.
Republicans.
Yeah.
Republicans railed for border security. MAGA railed. They put a Republican senator in who came out with a deal before the deal could even hit the table. We're not doing it. We don't want to make Biden look good.
Yeah.
Come on, man. You can't be you can't. You know what? With the Trump sneaker deal, you can no longer talk about gas. You can't talk about the economy's doing bad. With the border deal that Trump killed, you can't talk about the border. You can't have it both ways. They're talking out the side of their mouths. And even when if Trump's the presumptive nominee, you're sure he will be. He has no policy on how to fix anything. I gotta vehemently.
Hold on, hang on. I gotta vehemently disagree. If you have concerns with the border, for instance, even as someone who leans a bit left myself, I believe Trump will be significantly more effective at getting the border under control than President Biden. So when you say he has no policies, I got to disagree with you on that. Now, in the comments, let me run this one by you. Cat Balls, did I say Cat Balls? Oh my God. Cat Balls says Trump loyalists and Biden loyalists are in fact less intelligent. So folks who are loyal to Trump and loyal to Biden, he's saying they're less intelligent. Now, I've never heard of a Biden loyalist. I don't even know what the hell that is. But he is saying that they're both less intelligent.
Well, I tell you what, you have the less of 2 evils. It's what you truly have. You know, people are naturally greedy. But you have a guy who's actually trying to help Americans and somebody who's not. Biden just did away with another student debt, 1.5 billion, right? Does that not help American people?
Yeah.
He lowered diabetic costs for people. Does that not help the American people? Right? He has infrastructure everywhere I go in St. Louis. There's projects being done. There are people working. Does that not help the American people?
I mean,
I don't understand.
Well, there are things that Trump has done. Folks don't want to be forced to drive an electric car, for instance. They cost, more money than they can afford. So with him, that's helping people. This one reason why I'm saying this is Trump has done things that help American people as well. As a liberal, we may not agree with it, but they believe $2 gas under Trump. We can say it wasn't his fault, but it was happening when he was president. The economy was better in a lot of folks' eyes under Trump than Biden.
Can I say this, though?
Sure.
Can I say this, though? And that's where the education of people is important. Because we only have so much say on the price of gas. It's like world inflation. That's not Biden's fault.
No.
It's a world issue. But if you look at it, we've handled it better than any other country, right? And then you have the guy, another MAGA talking point is, oh, look at the military. We got the biggest military in the world. Oh, yeah, we shouldn't protect NATO. You know why we have the biggest military in the world and we do most of the NATO work? It's America's own fault. We want to police the world. We can't do it for a budget the size of Mexico's military.
But Trump has promised to get us away from policing the world, and that's why a lot of folks favor him.
Yeah, I believe him as soon as the shoes are not made overseas.
I gotta go. All right, B.
Come on. Let's get real.
I get it.
It sounds good.
All right. I do got to move it on, though. Sincerely.
All right, bro.
Appreciate you coming in. Absolute same. Come on back anytime. Looking in the comments, wages were low under Trump. Wages are higher under Biden. But they're going to counter by saying you're paying more for the cost of goods and services. So they're going to suggest, well, yeah, you're making $20 an hour as a burger flipper, but the burger now costs you 3 times as much. That is the counter argument, but I do appreciate your point. If we don't police the world, we end as a country, says Cameron. I don't agree with that. America has 2,000 plus nuclear weapons, not to mention some of the best defense technology on the planet, the largest Navy, one of the most powerful armies. We're not going to disappear if we end the aspect of policing the world. We will lose our superpower status. I'm absolutely certain of that. We would lose our status as a superpower. Because if America stops policing the world, then a lot of the things we police will begin to happen in mass. I mean, you look at what Saddam Hussein did in terms of going into Kuwait and stealing their resources. If we didn't get involved, Kuwait would be part of Iraq right now. So, I mean, I do understand what you're saying. By the way, if we decided to only take care of the United States, America first, Israel would cease to exist. Israel could not handle the weight of the entire Middle East. I don't think without the United States intervention, Israel would have a single friend in the Middle East. They would probably lose Jordan. Egypt is still pissed off from the 70s. Israel would cease to exist without American intervention. That's all they're using is American equipment, surveillance, and tactics. Without us, Israel is gone. So let's worry about home and not police the world. Understand there are consequences to that. You may see that really soon if Trump is reelected in the form of Ukraine. It may literally cause you to go to Google and notice Russia is bigger and there is no Ukraine on the map. That could happen within the next 5 years or so. That could actually happen if Trump gets reelected. Going back to the box, and countries that has happened before. Countries have been annexed and literally disappeared off the map. Ukraine would be gone, and so would Israel soon after. Appreciate that TikTok cap, Mayru. Thank you. Appreciate the generosity. Certainly, thank you for that. Going back to the box, we'll make it happen with Country Hound Dog. You ain't nothing but a hound dog. Good afternoon. We're talking about Russia, friend or foe. For my YouTube viewers, uncensored program, feel free to smash that like button, the subscription if this is what you prefer, civilized dialogue. Before we go, Country Hound Dog, someone on YouTube, hang on a second, Country. Someone on YouTube asked the prevailing question, why do you have a MAGA hat? For the frequent viewers, you already know the answer, but I'll go ahead and give it to the newer folks. Even though I lean left, I believe that conservatives, Republicans, and certainly MAGA do not get a fair shake in the media. So the sole purpose with the hat is to let you know you will always be entitled to free speech here. I will defend it without any form of censorship for as long as I do this. Country Hound Dog, is Russia our friend?
Well, first off, how's it going, Hansman? How you doing?
I'm doing good. I'm doing real good.
That's good. I'm going to put a new spin on this, and I want to know what your opinion is. Personally, I think Russia's a mooch. We all have that one friend out there who is a mooch, right? They keep coming back because they can they can mooch a little off you or mooch this or mooch that, and they get away with it. And they come back again, and they do it again and again. Well, Russia's a mooch. And with Biden in right now, they're mooching, just like they did when Obama was in. When Democrats were in, Russia was mooching up land. Well, Biden's in, they're mooching up land. When Trump was in, they didn't mooch.
You do understand they invaded Georgia under Bush, Crimea in 2014 under Biden, and now the Ukraine again under Obama in 2014. They took Crimea. 2008 they took Georgia in 2008 under George W. Bush. So they're doing it on both sides. It ain't just the Democrats.
They are doing it on both sides. I think it's mostly on the Democrat side, but I look at Russia as a mooch. And one thing that everybody, especially the Democrats, hated about Trump, okay, is simply the fact that when they asked him, they said, "What's your plan on border security? What's your plan for, securing the world? What's your plan for dealing with Russia?" What did Trump? And what was his answer all day? It was, "I'm not telling you what my plans are." It's just like a boxer. They tell you, don't telegraph your punch. And Trump wouldn't do that.
Yeah, but Trump, wait a minute, Country Hound Dog. Trump, wait, when you say,
what made him unpredictable.
well, but the reason why folks don't like Trump goes a lot further than I'm not televising or telegraphing my moves. When you start saying that they're sending us their rapists and murderers, or you start telling Russia you can do whatever the hell you want with any of our allies that don't pay their debt, that is why people don't like Trump. It's not that he don't televise his moves. It's the insults that come along with the statements.
They hate him for all those mean tweets that he put out. But like him or hate him, yes, we did have a better economy under Trump. That's the bottom line on that. But that all that aside, I don't want to say Russia is necessarily a friend, but I think we need to. I almost kind of wonder if we shouldn't be a little more friendly toward Russia, because I think that would de-escalate a lot of tension in the world. Just like when Reagan told Gorbachev to tear down the wall. We made a lot of progress right after Reagan did that.
Okay.
So, maybe we need to again. But I do have another question for you.
Sure.
And I'd like to see you put this out to your Democrat. Mostly, it's more toward the Democrats that come in and watch your lives, okay?
Okay.
Every live I've ever seen or in videos I've seen, and I'm sure there's a few Republicans that have done it as well, but mostly, whenever I hear the phrase, MAGA wants to bring back Jim Crow, MAGA wants to bring back slavery, MAGA wants to do put women back in the kitchen. The only people who ever only seem to be saying that stuff are left-leaning Democrats. Why? That's my question.
Yeah.
Because you don't hear about Republicans saying, we're going to go back to Jim Crow. You don't hear them saying, we're going to go back to the days of slavery. You don't hear them saying, we're going to take women's voting rights away. The only people I ever hear that coming from is left-leaning Democrats.
Well,
and these are probably the more hardcore left-leaning.
Well,
I've never heard you say that.
Yeah, let me answer that. Well, first of all, I would tell you some of it is politics. Just like I could respond and say I've never heard anybody else suggest the Democrats are going to turn the country into socialist Venezuela, but folks on the right. So some of it is politics. They're going to demonize the other side. And I've said that on the show a lot, that a lot of Republicans do not like folks on the right throwing around the word racism all the time when they do the same thing with socialism. If you're a Republican and you're debating with somebody on the left, eventually somebody's going to call you a racist, because that's the word the Democrats throw around all the time in effort to demonize people. It doesn't mean it's true, but they often throw that word around. Republicans do the exact same thing with socialists. Everything is socialism. They use it because it also works. So a lot of it is politics. However, when you look at the amount, because you mentioned, the liberals are talking about they want to roll back women's rights. Look at the Republican states like Kansas, Ohio, how they're voting on Roe versus Wade and women's rights. Apparently, a lot of Republicans think that the Republicans want to roll back women's rights, because blood red states are like, we don't want this. So it ain't just liberals saying it.
True.
All right. So
and that's true. You're right. And there are things that the right says, and it's specifically that things that the right blames the left for saying, all the time. And there's things that the left do, and it just kind of makes you wonder. And it's something that I think needs to get out there, because from both sides of the aisle, we need to get past these, this I guess bickering, for lack of better words, or things like that. Now, and come together more so. Now, as for Roe v. Wade, everybody, Roe v. Wade originally, what that did was took away the state's choice to decide whether they want to allow their citizens to have abortion rights or not. And it made it federal, and the federal government said, hey, you now have to do this, and that was it. That was just one way that the federal government stepped in and took away states' rights.
Okay.
If you look at taking away states' rights, you know, the War of Northern Oppression, have you ever heard it called that?
I've heard the phrase.
Okay. Well, the War of Northern Oppression, the Civil War, you know, that was what really kicked it off, was the fact that the northern states started trying to take away rights.
What
Now,
right were they trying to take away? What right was the northern states trying to take away that the southern states were so concerned with?
one of the biggest things was they were taxing the raw goods coming north, and they were trying to tell the southern states you cannot re-tax this. Any goods, textile goods coming back south.
Were some of those raw goods they were taxing human beings of dark variety?
Well, actually, it was cotton. It was the biggest thing. As you know, cotton was king. And
How did they get the cotton? How did they get so much cotton to the markets to sell? How did they get that cotton?
And that was through slavery.
Okay.
And I agree with you. That was slavery was wrong. And a lot of people don't realize there's roughly about 52 million people still in slavery to this day.
But hold on, hang on, country hound dog. Hold on. Hang on, country hound dog, hang on. When we're talking about, let's say we're talking about Black Lives Matter, rioting and looting. No one comes into the argument and brings up rioting and looting that's going on in Egypt. But when we talk about slavery, suddenly the conversation zooms out to the fact that they got slaves in Syria. We're talking about America. We're not zooming out. We're talking about what's happening here in this country. And fact is, during that era, their biggest states' rights they were losing was the ability to own human beings.
Was over slavery, and you're right about that.
Right. That's it. That was the biggest issue, was slavery.
Right. But again, it fell, that whole states' rights issue is what kicked off the Civil War. And then when you look at Roe v. Wade, they took away, the federal government took away another state's right to choose about something that affects their citizens directly in their state. But when Roe v. Wade got overturned, it simply returned the right back to the state to choose. Now, if somebody don't agree with what Ohio says about abortion rights, they are free to move to another state.
No, they're not. Let me interrupt you to say that. Hold on. Country.
You can go to another house.
That's not true. Let me tell you this. Texas, if you're pregnant in Texas, they have a state's right preventing you from having an abortion. So according to you, well, you can just go to another state. No, you can't. No, you can't.
I'm not saying go to another state. I'm saying if you don't like the rules that Ohio is giving you, move to another state.
What if you are currently pregnant and you want to have an abortion in a state that doesn't allow it? What should you do?
At that point, move.
What if the state passes a law that doesn't allow you to move while pregnant without still being criminally charged?
Then at that point, the state is in the wrong.
Texas is currently at that point right now as we speak.
They're not stopping people from moving out and actually changing their residence to another state.
Let me explain it to you.
They're not allowing you to cross a line. They're not allowing you to stay living in the state of Texas and go to another state and return.
Let me explain it to you, country hound dog. Texas has a law on the books that if you're pregnant and you use their highways to drive out of the state to have an abortion, you can be held criminally accountable for using their highways to facilitate a murder. That's on the books.
Right. It is on the books. And that is so long as you are a resident of the state of Texas. If you choose to move out of state, change your residence, that law cannot affect you.
I just asked you a second ago.
Change your state of residence.
Country hound dog, I just asked you. Wait a minute. You changed. I just asked you if you're pregnant in a state that bans abortion, and you want to have an abortion, what should you do? You said you should leave and go somewhere else. I just gave you a ruling that makes it illegal to do that.
It's not illegal to move and change your state of residence.
So the part about using the highways, you can get around that by changing your state.
Yes.
Okay. And you're okay with that?
I'm not okay with there's only certain aspects of abortion I am okay with. There are circumstances that are extenuating that dictate that it's a necessary evil. That's my stance on it. The mother's life is in danger. The child's life is in danger. Cases of rape. There are extenuating circumstances that, yes, abortion should be allowed. However, the one thing I ask all people to do, and this is where America can move forward, is if we could all just simply get to the point where we agree that at this point in the pregnancy, that is a human life. That's it. There is no changing course.
Let me ask you this question, because this is in reference to what we're discussing. Diggy on TikTok says, as a man, why do you care how women use their body? How do you respond to that?
When I was in the service, when I was downrange in Iraq, I took an IED in the face. I survived it.
Wow.
Okay? I left Iraq on July 4th. 0532 in the morning, wheels up. I'm on the flight home. Now, the thing of it is, my sergeant held my mail home letter. He held it for me. He did not send it home. The Italian national I was dating was pregnant. She got news that I was actually KIA.
Okay.
She got bad news that I was KIA. And for whatever reason, she decided to have an abortion. Now, I was not aware of this. I spent another 3 months in Iraq before I left and went home. Okay, back to Italy. When I got back to Italy on July 4th, I snuck off base on July 11th. I found her downtown, and on July 11th of 2003, I found out that she had an abortion without my knowledge.
Wow. So let me make sure. Let me get to. I'm gonna have to move it on, but I want to get clarity from you. Hang on. I do got to move it on, but I want to get clarity from you on this. So if a woman is pregnant with a guy's baby, and the guy wants that baby to come to term, should he have the right to stop her from aborting the baby because he wants to keep it?
If the woman don't want the baby, it takes two to tango. Okay, they both laid there in the bed. They both had their fun. So if she don't want the baby, he does. Yes, he should get the baby, and she should actually pay child support.
So
if it was the other way around.
So wait a minute. I'm just making, because you're going other places. So in other words, if she's pregnant and she doesn't want that baby, he should by law be able to force her to carry it until it's time to give birth.
If he wants the baby, then yes, he should have that right to have the baby.
Wow.
And she ought to pay child support, because if it was the other way around, you know what happens to us?
Yeah.
We got to pay through the nose for child support.
Wow. I do got to move it on, but you mentioned us coming together. I'm just going to tell you my humble opinion, Country Hound Dog, and you're always a friend of the program here. I don't think we'll ever come together with the type of laws you're suggesting. Women are not going to be on board with that no matter what you do. But I appreciate you coming on. Anytime, come on back through.
Do me one favor.
Real quick.
Do a poll, okay, on a couple of lives, and then get back with me. Let me know what the left-leaning Democrats, okay, because that's the opinion I'm concerned about. Ask them, at what point does that baby in the womb constitute a life?
Okay.
At what point should we say this is a life?
The point where you're agreeing to help her financially if she carries it to term. I gotta go though. Appreciate you coming through. All right, looking in the comments. Ask the Constitution. I don't think the Constitution covers that. When it has a son. Yikes. Yikes. Real quick, we're talking about Russia, friend or foe, controlling Republicans, says Amy. Yeah, and that's what I'm saying is the conversation me and my last caller just had. the overwhelming majority of young fertile women ain't gonna be down with that. I mean, unless you find folks who are strong in their faith, evangelicals may actually agree with him. But the average woman under 40, they ain't down with what he just said. So I don't know how the Democrats are going to do it come election time, but that message, a caller like that would make a really good campaign commercial. And I enjoy talking to Country Hound Dog. I always welcome on the program. You don't have to agree with me. I don't have to agree with him. Understand the program is always uncensored. So feel free to state your point without any concern. But that is a good conversation for a left-leaning politician to have on television, because women are not gonna side with that. Going back to the box, appreciate you folks tapping the screen. Certainly for my YouTube viewers, feel free to smash that like button. Not a lot of the likes are low on my YouTube side. I never know why. Maybe the content is not as favorable on YouTube, but do appreciate you folks that are participating and tuning in. We run an uncensored program. That is how we do it Monday through Friday, 1 p.m. Central. There's so many contraceptives. No excuse besides health or rape. Someone stated on Terrence, you know, the crazy thing is, why is it always men? Terrence, I see your comment. There's no contracept. There's so many contraceptives. There's no excuse besides health or rape. When it comes to the abortion debate, it does seem to be, at least from my personal analysis, most of the folks against abortion are men. I don't know why that is, but it does always seem to be a man telling a woman, you know, what to do. So, but I do agree with you. There are a lot of contraceptives, but the idea that is no excuse. Contraceptives are not 100%. I don't think there's a single contraceptive out there, except for abstinence, that is 100% effective. So what if she does use contraceptives and gets pregnant anyway? That does happen. Looking in the comments, most of the pro-lifers will never adopt. And in regards to that comment, I do believe that if you're going to have a pro-life state, like when my last caller was talking about, you know, states' rights and things like that, in pro-life states, most of the Bible Belt states, the accessibility for relief for impoverished families with children should be off the chain. And it's not. It's not. There is no more assistance for a mom needing financial relief in the southern anti-abortion states than there are in the northern pro-choice states. It should be. There's not. That's a problem. You're passing laws that are inevitably going to lead to more births, and you're doing nothing to address that. Meaning you're going to have a lot more moms having children out of wedlock in poverty. And I guess the answer is going to be, well, you should have thought better. Too bad, so sad. We're not going to let you get rid of the kid, but we're not going to help you out either. Be responsible, figure it out. That's kind of the mindset it apparently seems to be. Going back to the box, appreciate you folks. Coach Briggs, get rid of the certificate of birth and issue a certificate of life for confirmed pregnancies. Damn. DJ Julio, thank you for the TikTok cap. By way of yes or no, I want to ask this question because that's a strong statement. And I see somebody say you're advocating for infanticide. Wow, passionate points here. By way of yes or no, how many of you would agree in getting rid of birth certificates and actually giving a woman, a mom to be, as Gen Xer said, a certificate of life? So the moment she pees on a stick or has a blood test performed at a hospital and it determines she's pregnant, they issue a certificate of life at that point. How many of you would agree with that by way of yes or no? In the comments, YouTube, TikTok. Most folks are saying no. A certificate of life, the moment you are deemed pregnant. I don't think I've seen one. Well, there's one yes. Wow, not many. All right, going back to the, that's strong. That is a really strong, I never heard anything like that before. Good afternoon, Coach Briggs.
Hey, how you doing?
Hey,
How you doing?
certificate of life, you down with that?
Nah,
Why not?
you know,
second. Jess got me. Jess in the comments, I always point out funny. She said this is disturbing. Go ahead, Coach.
I always question that you know the idea of when is a fetus viable, and I've always said to people, you carry a kid for 9 months, and the kid is born a newborn, but you push viability at the day of conception. So it kind of doesn't make sense to me. If a certificate of life is at conception, then you're not going to carry it for 9 months. It's going to be 9 months old. It's going to be 9 months old when it comes out.
I'm assuming the evangelicals will be okay with deeming your child 9 months old at birth if they could save the life of those unborn children. I think they would be okay with that.
But that being said, my opinion on that is I am pro-life for me. Now, like I will say, I'm also one of those ones that I just don't feel is my place to tell a female what to do. But I'm not one of the ones that's gonna preach, hey, you need to have that child, and then when that child is here or that unwanted child is here, then I leave it abandoned. Yeah. You can't have it both ways.
Yeah, and that undoubtedly is what's happening because listen, the Republican mindset's different from the liberal mindset, certainly on social policies. The Republican mindset tends to be self-reliant, self-responsibility. So as opposed to what they call on the Democrat side is free shit or socialism. So if you are on the right side, you are going to view a mom that's having children she can't afford as you need to find a way to take care of it. Pull yourself up by your bootstraps. Yeah, so they are not coming up with any policies in these states to address all of the new babies that are going to be born because of their policies.
Well, I got two things I really want to go. But first thing is, I want to answer your first question.
Sure.
And this is just me being in the Navy.
Okay.
About Russia is 100% a bad actor, but when it comes to this Ukraine aid and stuff, I just want to put this out to everybody. If you think for a minute that once Russia takes over the Ukraine, that they're going to stop there, you are absolutely wrong. And then the next thing, what that's going to precipitate is we're going to be in another war on another front with China, because China is going to be emboldened to attack Taiwan because of the transatlantic trade. And then we'll be so if I understand we have the greatest Navy, we have the greatest military, but have you ever heard of the concept of divide and conquer?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You have Iran that's a bad actor, you have Russia that's a bad actor, and China that's a bad actor. All of them have a stake in the game.
But I will let me push back and say this. While Trump is somewhat favorable to Russia, he is an adversary to China. So he would let Russia have the Ukraine, but I don't know if he would be as easy with China on them wanting Taiwan. So I don't know if I totally agree with that.
Well, I understand that, but wars on two fronts. The United States fighting wars on two fronts wouldn't be good. I'll put it that way.
We're not going to have a war on two fronts. Trump is not going to be very adversarial to Russia. So whatever the hell Russia is doing over there, they're just doing it. I mean, in my opinion, I agree with Trump that if he was president right now, the Ukrainian thing wouldn't be happening, because I think Trump would have told Russia, I have a legacy to worry about. I'll make it so that Ukraine will never join NATO. We're not going to give them any weapons or anything to make them stronger. I'll literally set them up like a golf ball on a tee, and then you can do whatever you want, but it has to be once I leave office. I'll ensure that you can continue your import-export market, whatever the case may be. I'm not going to make the Ukraine any stronger right now than they are. In fact, maybe even give you some intelligence you need on the Ukraine. And then when I'm gone, I'll be able to say, you didn't do this under my watch, and you'll be in perfect position to do what you need to do. I believe that is what would have likely happened, and I do believe Trump is correct. They would not have went into the Ukraine under Trump.
No, I don't think they would have. I don't necessarily know if it's for that reason, though.
Okay.
And the other thing that I would say is the NATO comment. You know, it could end up being detrimental depending on, you know, once he gets elected, because I duly believe Trump will be elected. And once he gets elected, you know, I think the NATO comment may come back to haunt us also.
So you believe Trump is likely to win?
We are the superpower, but obviously we can't do it ourselves.
Wait a minute. Let me make sure I hear you clearly. So you do believe Trump is likely to win late in 9 months or so?
Yeah, I think so.
Could happen. You don't think any of the you don't think the courts are going to get him at all? You think the voters will indeed support Trump?
I think he will win the nomination, and I think a lot of people are going to give him a pass, and you know, policy wise, I think, you know, I just think it's just trending that way. And I'll give you an example, because I kind of felt for you last night. I was in the box, but you know, American Lumberjack never brought me up.
It's all right.
Like this border thing, man. I give you your props, brother. You was hanging in, but they was coming at you hard, man.
I'm used to taking on, you know, and I used to call Fox News so much, and I tell people the story sometimes. Back in 2014, when they had Fox News Radio, I used to call in and debate Kilmeade and Sullivan and John Gibson, who was on the show at the time. So they invited me out there, and I kind of co-hosted the show. But I'm used to, even when I was calling in the Fox News Radio, I'm used to taking on multiple adversaries at the same time. I enjoy it. So the fact that they were coming at me, I think it was about 8 of them. But the problem, and that's why I only run a 1-person box on TikTok, because it gets to be confusing. But it was like 8 of them taking me on simultaneously. I enjoyed it.
I really, you know, I call myself independent, but I think I'm a little more the opposite. When you were trying to explain to them that you were a more liberal-leaning Democrat, I mean a conservative-leaning Democrat, but you're a Democrat. I look at myself as I'm an independent, but I lean conservative, big time.
Yeah. Well, I had a guest on the program tell me once, you're either MAGA or you're a Democrat. And there, even though it sounds crazy, there's some validity to that in this current society. Right now, if you are not with me, you're far right or far left of what I am. Folks don't believe anymore in having somebody that's in the middle that can be able to see both sides. I get folks on my program all the time. Pick a side. Folks go to hell off in the comments. You need to pick a side. We don't really entertain folks that are willing to talk with both sides of the aisle, which is the whole purpose of this program, is to show it can be done if you actually want to do it. But it's not very favorable to this current society right now. So that's the whole reason why I'm here. But I will give you the last word, though, in regards to Russia. It sounds clear that you do not see them as a friend, but with Trump seeing them from a more friendlier mindset, how do you, if you believe Trump is going to win, for instance, what do you think America is going to be like during Trump's second term?
I think the economy will be solid. I think he will bolster the military. I don't think we'll have to worry about bad actors. I don't think Russia will advance. I think even if we pull out, like you say, I don't think they will advance. I just don't agree with. I don't agree with Trump on the NATO issue. He only has 4 years, and I do think after his term, I kind of put some validity to what you say, that Russia will be even more of a bad actor once he leaves.
So in the comments, Higby says it'll be the end of democracy. You don't feel a second Trump term will be a threat to democracy at all, do you?
No, not at all. I don't believe that. I don't believe that. This guy, Trump has 4 years. And unless Trump comes back on a revenge tour, it's going to take a couple years to, well, the economy is already coming back. So he's going to take credit. The economy is slowly coming back. But I'm sure once he comes and adds some more deregulations and things in, it'll take off.
So is it safe to say right now, Trump versus Biden rematch, Trump has your vote?
At this moment, yes.
Okay. What happened on January 6th, Coach?
It was an insurrection. They tried to overthrow the government.
Who?
I don't doubt that they did. But if you look at all of the bad actors in there, I don't think that you can just pin it on Trump himself. I mean, I could call you to arms. But it's your choice. It's your choice.
Unfortunately, I got a million. I would like to talk to you certainly longer. I do got to move it on, Coach. But wow, I got a hell of a lot of things I'd like to ask you. But next time you're on, remind me of this conversation, because we certainly could talk for quite a while. But Coach, appreciate you coming through, man.
All right. Yep. Got it.
Absolute. Now that's a very interesting caller. Now he's independent. Certainly favors Trump over Biden. There's nothing wrong with that. He favors Trump economy and things like that. The democracy argument, or what happened on January 6th, he believes it was an insurrection. Now, not a lot of folks that favor Trump believe it was an insurrection. Now, he doesn't believe Trump's responsible for it, but he does believe it was an attempted insurrection. Most folks that favored Trump not only do not believe Trump was responsible for what happened on January 6th, but they don't even believe it was an insurrection at all. Often they'll say, well, it didn't have any weapons, or Antifa. We talk about Ray Epps, you name it. So that was an interesting call. Looking in the comments, Honest Independent, my bad, Coach, says the deep tissue guru, like the name. Coach of what? No insurrection, says Angel Fan Damien. Ask McCarthy how he felt when Trump ignored him. It's funny because you see the clips of how the Republican Party acted on January 6th, and then you see how they act on January 7th. It's like, who the hell got to you? Because you had what is the guy's name? I can't think of the senator's name from South Carolina out there. But he was talking about shooting the protesters in the head. Lindsey Graham. And now all of a sudden he's back on par. I don't know if somebody got to them or not, but let me go back to the box. Wow, it's crazy. It's an interesting take. Going back to the box, Air Wolf, appreciate you folks that are holding on. We should be around 100,000, but some of you folks are lazy with the thumbs. Nearly 80. Tap the screen. You could get me up to 90,000. We got almost 1,000 of you in here. Certainly on YouTube, smash that like button. Certainly a subscription, if you will, if you enjoy civilized dialogue from both sides of the aisle without any concern of being blocked, banned, or censored. You're in the right place. A subscription or follow the program. Why did the Democratic mayor of D.C. deny police chiefs multiple requests for backup? I would answer that in a second. The box is coming up. Why did the D.C. police chief ignore multiple requests for backup? Was it their responsibility? I mean, that's federal grounds. I watched the January 6th hearings, and one thing seems to be hazy in regards to who was responsible for sending in backup. But the crazy thing is, if Nancy Pelosi was supposed to send send in the National Guard, or if Trump requested it from the mayor of D.C. and all, because it's all liberals if you ask Trump. If all of these folks failed to send in security and this thing went awry, why is he calling it a love fest? What about January 6th equates to a love fest? If you needed to have the National Guard present for a love fest, how does that make sense? He also has stated that January 6th was a good day, or that he would pardon folks. Then why do you need security if everything's going so well? I don't understand that. Going back to the box, You don't need guns for an insurrection, genius. So that's a comment going on between each other on YouTube, and that is true. If you can overwhelm with numbers, you don't always need guns for an insurrection. You don't. I mean, how many rounds are in a service pistol? Maybe a Capitol Police officer maybe has 17 rounds in his pistol, maybe another magazine or two. But when you're faced with thousands of folks, and by the way, the argument that none of the Capitol protesters had weapons, I would follow up by simply, how do you know? How do you know? Nobody was patted down. They came. Some stayed on the lawn with Trump in the actual speeches. Others went to the Capitol building and went in. Nobody was patted down. No one was searched. How do you know they didn't have weapons? That's just an assumption. You don't know. 99% of the folks that were out there never got searched that day and went home. So how do you know they didn't have weapons other than what you couldn't see? Well, I didn't see them holding a long rifle. Okay. Could they have a knife? Could they have a pistol? Could they have some form of explosives? How can you be sure they didn't have weapons? Going back to the box. Appreciate that. Go ask Greg. No one pulled a weapon out. Okay, but that doesn't mean they didn't have it. Go ask Greg. Good afternoon.
Hello?
Hey, good afternoon. Can you hear me?
I can. Can you hear me?
Yeah, you got a loud background.
Hold on, I'll switch, get rid of the headset.
All right. Forcible entry into government buildings in active session, threatening elected officials, and theft of government property are insurrection, sanctuary, sedentary acts. I agree that you can't go in the building anytime you want, even if it's a tax paid off building. Good afternoon there, Greg. We're talking about Russia. Friend or foe, in your opinion?
Well, for the most part, not the people, but the president would be foe. And, you got to kind of wonder whether our government's friend or foe when you see things like Russia doesn't allow fake meat and a lot of things, and we do because we pay off our congressmen. So that's one thing about that. We don't know.
Yeah, but why is it that when we look into whether Russia is a friend or a foe, we keep bringing up what the United States did? I mean, I mentioned this earlier with another caller that was doing the same thing. If we keep using the judgment of what actions the United States has been involved in the past, knowing that we took the country over as we were immigrants that did not mean any good to the natural inhabitants. So we took the country over by force. We then enslaved a bunch of people. If we use our personal history, then no country on earth is a bad country.
Well, I can't argue. I can just say we don't know everything. But what we do know is it's pretty tough for this war to ever end when you have China backing one side and us backing the other. How's that ever going to end?
Yeah. I don't disagree that we could be involved in a long-term war, but why? Okay, because you said you don't necessarily see Russia as a friend. Why is Trump speaking so favorably of him so often?
I think we should all know that what Trump says isn't always what he means.
How do you know?
For instance,
How do you know?
The United Nations, for a fact. I don't think Trump's ever going to pull out of the United Nations, but when he says something about it, people pay up.
But
and we don't know anything.
How do you?
Anything about our government or theirs.
But at the end of the day, how do you have a president in office where you don't know if what he's saying is actually valid or not? He may be just lying and pulling your chain. Why do that so often?
Because the unpredictability keeps them in line.
How does?
Go ahead.
How does saying that you would disband NATO, or as you mentioned, the United Nations or whatever the case, how does that keep anybody in line? It makes folks think that you're a maniac.
it makes them pay their bills, which they don't pay. And really, we talked about, or you did, personal responsibility a little while ago. Why should we pay all the bills?
So to
I
get,
think we probably could use the United Nations, but I don't think we should be footing all the bills.
so to get folks to foot their bills, you approve him saying that Russia could do whatever the hell they wanted. You think that's a good thing to say?
I take it with a grain of salt. One thing I do want to say that I've been wanting to say for a long time as I listen to conversations, and I'm sorry for this to be off the subject, but if Biden is cognitive, why doesn't he stand up in front of America and answer questions for an hour like Trump did? Just stand there and answer any question that comes at him from anywhere.
I don't oppose doing that, but at the end of the day, I don't think it'll change any hearts and minds. Just like I would have said the same thing about Trump not showing up to the Republican debates. Why don't you show up if you got the best plan for America? I think that we've entered a time now where, and I'm gonna say that Trump probably started this, they don't have to do that anymore, because anybody that complains now can say, well, Trump didn't show up, so why are you telling me I got to?
Right, I think he probably should have, but then again, there should be a debate between him and Nikki Haley if she hangs in there.
Yeah, but he has opened up the door. He has now opened up the door to not showing up to debates, because when it comes down to Biden versus Trump, a lot of my beloved MAGA is going to say, look, Biden has no cognitive abilities. Why won't he show up if he's the best guy? Well, Trump has gave him an excuse now because Trump didn't do it.
But I'm not sure, but didn't Biden do that first? Not show up for debates? Not with Trump. But he won't debate Robert F. Kennedy. He won't debate any other Democrat. And shouldn't that be an open forum? I don't know.
I don't think Robert F. Kennedy even was viewed as a Democrat by anybody. I mean, we know Nikki Haley and Vivek Ramaswamy and Ron DeSantis were verifiable Democrats. The Democratic Party never even accepted Kennedy that you're talking about. So I don't know if I'd put that in this.
But he is a Kennedy, and I don't see why they shouldn't accept anybody.
Even his own,
if they can get people.
Even his own family is suggesting that he doesn't come across as a Kennedy. I don't think there's anybody in the Democrat. Most of the folks that favor Kennedy are not even Democrats.
Yeah, I don't know. I just know I don't think Biden portrays a good image for our country at all. I think there's got to be a Democrat that could do. I mean, really, look at him on the world stage. To me, it's an embarrassment. Not just because I don't like his policies. I don't feel he should be there. I don't think his wife is right for letting him be there. And I don't think he's the only one that could beat Trump. And I also don't think Biden stopped. If there was cheating in the election, it wasn't because Biden was the mastermind. Biden was the result. Somebody may have cheated, but it wasn't Biden. He's not. I don't think he would be capable.
No. So
I think.
Why is Trump saying he won? So why is Trump saying he won by a landslide?
Why is what? I'm sorry.
Why is Trump saying he won the 2020 election by a landslide?
Well, he did get the most votes of any Republican nominee ever.
That ain't what he's saying. He's saying he won by a landslide.
Yeah, we don't know. But I would feel a lot better myself if we had voter ID and had to sign to vote, and if there was more personal responsibility. But no voter ID and giving licenses to illegals and stuff, you're just asking for trouble, and we should feel as good as we can about our election. How do you
feel about the fact that so many Republicans have pled guilty to trying to pose as a fake elector and steal the electoral college votes of states like Georgia, Arizona, and Wisconsin?
I think many of them that don't back Trump and that don't back that are afraid. Right now, it seems to me we have a party that will take anybody down.
Afraid of what?
afraid of them being in the shoes Trump is in. I mean, they hate Trump.
Wait a minute, hold on. Hold on. Greg, the fake electors were acting on behalf of Trump. How do you feel about folks that were trying to steal the election, pled guilty to it in a court of law, that they were trying to steal the election in favor of Trump?
Well, like I said, I think they would be afraid to do anything else for going to prison for life. Everybody gets a choice. You say what we want you to say, or you quit fighting, and we won't give you a big sentence.
So you believe that
everybody gets that choice, down to drug dealers.
I get your point. So a lot of people plead guilty because they. So what you're saying is you believe they're all innocent, but they just pled guilty to avoid a long sentence.
No, I'm not saying that they're all innocent. I don't make statements like that as a rule. I just think that there's a lot of people afraid. Look at the people that were involved in January 6th. I don't think they're being treated right. I don't know what they did, but I don't think holding them in prison, the way they're holding them and using this insurrection as a, would you bet, I asked earlier, would you bet your life Democrats weren't involved in that insurrection?
Involved how?
In helping it move along.
I don't think a Democrat would be in a crowd with a bunch of Republicans operating on the side. That doesn't make a lot of sense to me. Why would you be there as a Democrat?
I said would you bet your life, but what about Ray Epps? Why is he not in jail? Of all people.
Wasn't he sentenced?
I'm sorry.
Ray Epps got sentenced.
And if so, I'd be curious for how long.
Yeah, he got sentenced. He did get convicted of that.
I don't know. I'm not that I'm aware of.
Okay.
Maybe he did. I don't watch.
But the problem I have, Greg, the problem I have is when they showed up on January 6th, 2 months, 2 days after the election. Why is Trump in front of the crowd telling them they won by a landslide? We're 3 years out. Where's the evidence that what you told him there that day was true? Otherwise, you lied to a bunch of folks. You're talking about Democrats hyping up the crowd. If he doesn't have proof, he is the one that lied and hyped that crowd up the most.
It's hard to change your feelings because somebody else doesn't think so. If he truly feels that way, it's hard to change our feelings. I mean, he felt that he won. I think an awful lot of people felt that he won. I mean, Joe Biden in the basement, although people hate Trump, but Joe Biden in the basement got more votes than Barack Obama.
Yeah. So let me ask you this.
We quit counting votes at 10:30 at night. When have we ever quit counting votes and started again the next day?
We've never had a pandemic in the middle of an election, Greg. But let me ask you this. If I show up to your house, get a megaphone, I'm some really big radio star like Alex Jones or somebody, I got a megaphone, and I announce that you're abusing children in your house, and I'm completely lying about it, but I believe it's true. And people start breaking in your house, smashing your place, have been trying to hurt you. Am I responsible? Because I really believe you're doing it.
That's a tough question. Yeah, I mean, but then it goes back to the other guy that said the people that did it are the ones that were responsible for their own actions. But yeah, that's scary, and people can do that.
So in other words, then if we hold the people responsible for breaking in your house and let me go because I didn't do it, they did whatever they wanted to do. What are you going to do when I show up tomorrow and do the same thing? Because you're not holding me accountable. I'm the one giving out the message. Everybody else is just responding to it. So because you don't see me as doing anything wrong, I can keep coming back to your house over and over again. You don't think nothing should be done to me?
No, I can see your point there, and that's a really good point. I really think it is. I still don't think it's just tough to change your feelings, and I understand what you're saying. That's a great point. I don't know. That's tough.
Yeah.
But I do think the best thing we could do to avoid this again is to have elections where people prove they're who they say they are. Not all this mail-in ballot. Yes, I know we had what we had with the pandemic, and I just had COVID last week. It's a really bad deal, and it's never going to go away. And it doesn't seem like we're too worried about Fauci doing what he did in China when it was illegal, and we're still giving money to China for that, as far as I know.
All right. Appreciate you coming on, Greg. I do got to move it on.
Thank you.
Anytime. Come on back through. My door's always open to you, man.
Have a good one.
You
Bye.
too. Now, looking in the comments, I see somebody said facts over feelings on YouTube. And that's my opinion on that, is that you can't, just like the fire in a crowded theater statement, if you know as my last caller was saying, his feelings, he feels he won the election, even though his own top cop, Attorney General Barr, told him, I looked into Freeman, I've looked into your claims of ballots in rivers and things like that. If you refuse to accept that you lost, even though your whole administration is telling you that, because by the way, Vice President Mike Pence from day one has said Trump lost. If you refuse to believe it or accept it, and you know telling people you won is, sparking violence, at what point do you get held accountable? Well, he does feel it, so he's just going to keep going all over the place saying it. If I go to a theater and I see you flick a cigarette lighter because you're trying to look down and find your cell phone, so you pull out a cigarette lighter so you can see, and I yell fire, and everybody trembles all, you're telling me I don't, nothing at all, huh? I just can keep doing that all over the place. I don't get that. I really do not get that. I mean, at this point, we're 3 years out. Shit or get off the pot. Show us the evidence that you won. Now, my last caller pointed out, and somebody said, no, we failed when the con man was made president. He's entitled to his day in court. I'll just give him that. But at some point, either shit or get off the pot. Show us the proof or move on. Now, my last caller was talking about voter ID. I'm not opposed to that. In fact, I support it. There's no excuse for a full-grown adult not to have a damn ID. I'm 100% behind it. However, I'm not a fan of requiring everybody to vote in person and then deliberately making it hard for them to do so. If you want to get rid of mail-in voting, get rid of internet voting, increase the number of polling places significantly. The fact that you have people standing in line for 8 hours to vote is fucking insane. And then you pass laws. Well, if you give them a bottle of water, it's a crime. Just come out and say, I want you to come in to vote with an ID, and I'm going to make it as hard as possible so that you get out of the damn line and not cast a vote at all. Come out and admit the truth. Because if you notice where that's happening, notice where it's taking place. It is predominantly in liberal cities, in Republican states. There is no reason for a Houston, Atlanta, Georgia, or Cleveland, Ohio voter to have to stay in line for 8 hours to vote. There's no damn reason at all for that. That is pre-designed. Or to move polling offices or limit the hours they're open. Don't tell me to get an ID and vote and then make it hard for me to vote. That sounds exactly like I'm okay with immigrants, just come here legally, knowing that behind the scenes you're trying your ass off to make it harder to come here legally. That's just a shell game. People can see through that shit. Get an ID, go in to vote, we're fine. But make it easier so that when a person go vote, it doesn't take them 6 hours to cast a ballot. Otherwise, we know what you're doing. You're trying to make people get out of the line in disgust and go home. Because you know it's happening in cities where their vote's likely to be Democrat anyway. So we hear about liberal cheating, but we don't count that, which is an obvious effort to curtail the vote, as cheating at all. Same issue with signature match. Who the hell can deliver the same signature 5-6 years ago? no chance at all that your signature may look different than it did 5-6 years. Why the hell in 2024 will we still be using signatures to verify identification? The liberals do the same thing on the opposing side. The liberals want to make it easier to vote. Now, making it easier to vote, like my last caller pointed out, increases the possibility of fraud. Make it easier to vote, less checks and balances. It's easy for maybe an illegal immigrant, maybe a relative of somebody dead to vote. The liberals make it easier to vote. The Republicans make it harder to vote. Both sides have the same effect. On the liberal side, you're going to have people voting that probably shouldn't be able to vote. On the Republican side, you're going to prevent somebody that has a legal right to vote from voting because you're making it so damn hard. Both sides are doing this stuff. They just blame the other side. That's how it works. Nevertheless, I do appreciate you folks tuning in as always. I see in the comments someone says, you have no clue. I just gave you the damn clue. 8 hours to vote. You don't see that as making it harder? You telling me Houston, Cleveland, Atlanta can't open up a few more polling places so that people are not in line for 8 hours? Or use another way to verify votes other than signature match? You want people to have IDs. How much does it cost for a piece of plastic with a little bit of ink on it? Give them the damn ID for free. We demand you have an ID to vote. Then come up with legislation on the Republican side of the House. The Democrats would overwhelmingly agree. All voter IDs will pay for it. It only costs you about a nickel a pop if you make them in bulk. Just give them a free ID. You don't want to do that. You're hoping they don't have one and they don't make the effort to get one. Both sides prevent voting or play games with the voting that'll benefit them. Higher voter turnout usually results in more Democrats voting. That is why Republicans do what they can to prevent large turnout. Lower turnout benefits Republicans. So they do things to make sure the vote turnout is low. It worked. Listen, there's cheating on both sides. Call it what you will, but both sides play games with our ability to vote. It's not just coming from one side. Appreciate you folks tuning in. 114,000 likes. Absolutely a pleasure. It's your boy Tim, the handsome liberal. You enjoy civilized dialogue from both sides of the aisle. You're in the right place. Follow the program. We don't block, ban, or censor any damn body. It's our program. Catch you later. My YouTube viewers, do appreciate you folks. Do have to, as they say, get back and work for the man. Real quick in the comments. Oh, so Republicans need to help Democrats get votes. Come on, man. I'm hearing what you're saying about affecting. No, you don't need to help Democrats get votes. Just quit passing laws trying to make them not vote at all. 8 hours. No one in America should have to stand in line for 8 fucking hours to vote. Certainly when it's only happening in liberal cities that reside in Republican states. Houston, liberal city, but it's in the Republican state. Cleveland, liberal city, but it's in the Republican state. Atlanta, Georgia, same thing. Why is that happening? Because the governor favors it. Just open up more polling offices so that doesn't take place. And then I'm on board with the ID. But there is no excuse for you to demand we have an ID and stand in a line that's 8 hours long and then start passing laws. If you give somebody a bottle of water, it's a crime. As if a Democrat or Republican is going to change their vote because you gave them water. Are you fucking kidding me? If you support Trump and I give you a bottle of water on a hot day, you're going to vote for Biden? Really? It's your boy Tim, the handsome liberal. Catch you tomorrow.